So we are gathered here for this evening of talk at a moment when a lot is happening with social movements in this country and around the world. The climate movement is on something of a roll. The book came out in September, and the same week it came out, 400,000 people were on the streets of New York demanding climate action, the largest climate march in the history of the world. The previous largest climate march was 100,000 people, so this was huge. We've also seen the fossil fuel divestment movement go from strength to strength. It's gone global this year. We've seen the first European universities divest. The city of Paris has come out in favor of fossil fuel divestment. And students at just a couple of weeks ago in the Boston area, particularly at Harvard, were engaging in what they called Heat Week, occupying different university buildings for a whole week, and realizing, they say we won't take no for an answer. At the same time, schools like Stanford have announced that they are divesting from coal. So we're seeing real progress, and we're also seeing the demand that we leave fossil fuels in the ground take fire. We've seen The Guardian, for instance, launch its Leave It in the Ground campaign and put climate change on the front page again and again. And we've seen New York ban fracking. Scotland and Wales have banned fracking. This is all. We're also still holding the line on the Keystone XL pipeline against all odds, and we're also seeing this powerful movement demanding a transition to renewable energy and far greater control over our energy systems. So the climate movement is growing, it's changing, it's evolving, it's maturing, and at the same time we are also seeing explosions of other movements. The Black Lives Matter movement in this country is inspiring the world. It's a new generation of civil rights activism based on the core value that all human lives are equal and must be equally valued, equally cherished, and when those lives are stolen, justice must be equally sought and enforced. It's a movement grounded in the assertion of positive humanist values, not just the condemnation of outrageous acts of state violence, though certainly grounded in that too. We're also seeing big breakthroughs in labor organizing.
Naomi, that was such an inspiring and exciting speech. You always make me feel that another world is possible. I'm intrigued, though, when you say that what's needed is that we radically change our political and economic model. That's a very big ask. And so I guess I just wanted to start by asking you, what should we do?
Well, I think there's two levels where I think, I wanted to quote Alexis, because I really do believe that there isn't one answer, and that it really is about finding where that place is that you have the most passion, right? And for a lot of people, that is their backyard, right? So I think that there's been a way in which climate change has been really abstracted to parts per million of carbon, in the atmosphere. And it was this idea that you had to find the answer, and so, but what I would say is, people should find the place where they feel they have the most passion and also the most influence, right? And so, if you're a student in university, get involved in the fossil fuel divestment movement and ask your university to live up to its values. If you're involved in your church, do the same thing. If you live in a part of the world that's in the midst of, a pitched energy battle over whether or not you're going to be powered by coal, and nuclear, or whether you're going to transition to renewables, get involved in that, So I don't think there is one answer. I think it's really about sort of interrogating ourselves and finding where our sphere of influence is, If you're in a healthcare professional, think about climate change as a health issue. If you're a teacher, how can you maximize your influence with your students? But I have to say that since I've been kind of touring with the book a bit in the States, I think the issue that is most alive in this country is that people feel like no matter what they do, their political system doesn't respond to them, right? So I think particularly in this country, climate change leads us to this profound legalized corruption, right? That guides the way in which elections are financed, corporate personhood. So I do think that the world needs the United States to deal with with the way in which politicians are owned by huge corporations. And I think that it's important to remember the Koch brothers they made their money in fossil fuels, right? They're a fossil fuel. They don't only trade in fossil fuels, but it's a huge part of who they are. And so I feel like that where you see it so clearly, that real cost of that corruption, that climate change could maybe be a catalyst for all these other movements that know they won't get anything done until they deal with campaign finance, right? To come, to just bring people together. So I think that that has to be a layer in everything we do.